The Invisible Architect. Introduction. Reality begins in the unseen, before a word is spoken, before a hand is moved, before a result appears. A thought takes shape in silence, and from that thought, the world is built. This is not imagination. This is the law. It is the first principle behind all things. Mind precedes matter. Every experience, every condition, every outcome in life flows from a mental prototype, not by chance, not by fate, but by alignment. This truth was laid bare more than a century ago by Thomas Troward, a man whose clarity pierced through the illusions of the material world. With the precision of a judge and the insight of a mystic, he revealed the spiritual laws that govern thought, form, and human destiny. He taught that the universe does not control you. It reflects you. That your mind is not a passive mirror, but a creative engine, endowed with the same essence that shapes stars and seasons. In his teachings, consciousness is not limited to the brain. It is the silent architect behind the body, the soul, and every structure called reality. And when the individual mind begins to understand its place within the universal mind, transformation becomes inevitable. This audiobook is a modern transmission of those teachings. It is a reawakening of principles too powerful to be forgotten, too eternal to belong to any single era. Each word you hear from this point forward is not speculation, it is foundation. Each idea is not an opinion, it is a key to the original laws that govern healing, growth, manifestation, and spiritual command. To hear these teachings is to remember what you already know deep within. You are not separate from the intelligence that moves the universe. You are its extension. You are its expression. You are its doorway into form. Welcome to the Invisible Architect. Let the structure of your life be rebuilt from the inside out, by the laws that never change, and the mind that now remembers how to use them. Chapter 1. The Silent Builder. There exists a silent power within every man and woman that, though unseen, is the very cause of all that is seen. It does not thunder, it does not force, it does not impose itself upon the world through noise or struggle, yet it shapes every condition, moves every circumstance, and determines every outcome. That power is the mind in its creative function. The universe is not accidental. It is not a collection of disconnected phenomena, moving without intelligence or purpose. The order of the stars, the rhythm of the seasons, the very breath within your lungs, these are not occurrences born of chaos, but are the result of a vast and invisible intelligence, governed by law. That same intelligence, which we rightly call universal mind or spirit, expresses itself through you, not beside you, not above you, but through you. You are not a fragment separated from this intelligence. You are its point of individualization. The same creative power that forms galaxies is concentrated in your thought. This is not poetry, nor is it idle speculation. It is law in the truest, most scientific sense, and it is your ignorance of this law, not its absence, that produces limitation and suffering. All form is the result of thought. Before the building rises, the architect sees it in his mind. Before the words are spoken, they are felt in silence. Before life unfolds in the outer, it has been shaped in the inner. The visible is forever preceded by the invisible, and to disregard this sequence is to forfeit the keys to your own destiny. That which appears to be solid and unchangeable is but the condensation of prior ideas. Therefore, to change your conditions, you must first change your thoughts. Not in theory, but in operation. You do not live in a world of matter. You live in a world of the mind clothed in appearances. The mind is not an epiphenomenon of the brain, nor is it bound to flesh or form. Mind is primary. It is the originating force. The brain is the instrument. The mind is the musician. And when you learn to play the instrument with mastery, the discord of life begins to resolve into harmony. Yet you must understand that thought, to be creative, must be felt. It must carry with it the impress of conviction. Mere words uttered without feeling do not move the deeper laws of the subjective mind. It is the thought that is accepted as true, felt as real, and sustained with intention that forms the prototype around which circumstances crystallize. There is within you a deeper aspect of mind that receives every impression you habitually affirm. It does not argue. It does not make sense. It accepts. And because it accepts without question, it is the mechanism by which your reality is constructed. This inner aspect of the mind, what I have called the subjective or subconscious, is the builder. What you supply to it, it builds. It is the silent worker in the background of your life, forming your health, your relationships, your opportunities, and your limitations in exact accordance with the pattern you have imprinted upon it. And here lies both the peril and the power. If you affirm limitation, it will build limitation. If you affirm sickness, it will sustain sickness, not because it is cruel, but because it is obedient. It is the servant of your dominant belief. But if you awaken to this truth and begin to plant in it the seeds of harmony, abundance, vitality, and peace, it will produce those with equal certainty. This is the divine impartiality of the law. It does not favor the good or the bad. It simply magnifies what you persistently impress upon it. Now, many have supposed that the universe operates according to moods or favors. They pray as beggars, plead with life as though it were a tyrant. But the law does not respond to pleading. It responds to alignment. The universal mind is not sentimental. It is exact. It is mathematical. It responds to the tone and frequency of your thought as unerringly as sound resonates with its perfect note. If your inner world is chaotic, uncertain, or filled with contradiction, then the outer world will follow suit. Not because you are being punished, but because that is the law. The seed determines the fruit. The blueprint determines the structure. There can be no other way. But this, rather than being a source of fear, should be your greatest cause for rejoicing. For if you are the cause, then you are never a victim. If thought precedes form, and you are the thinker, then you possess the key to transformation. The man who understands this law becomes free. He no longer blames fate or fortune. He no longer asks permission from circumstance. He begins to build inwardly what he wishes to experience outwardly, and he does so with the calm certainty of one who understands cause and effect. His life becomes the extension of his inner vision, shaped not by caprice, but by spiritual principle. To walk this path requires discipline, not of action first, but of thought. For the outer world is only the echo. The original tone is struck within, and every man, every woman must come to understand this. The world does not answer what you wish for. It answers what you believe. You may look around and see much that contradicts this, but do not be deceived by appearances. Appearances are the last stage of thought, not the first. Change them by going to their root. Thought is that root. Belief is its soil. Emotion is its water. And sustained attention is its sun. You are not powerless. You have simply been misinformed. The power you seek outside is already within. The change you wait for in others begins in yourself. The law of creation is no respecter of persons, but it is a perfect responder to principle. Let these words enter the deeper places of your understanding. Do not merely listen to them. Contemplate them. Hold them as true, and let them dissolve the falsehoods you have carried until now. For in the realization that your mind is the creative architect of your experience, the foundation is laid. And from that foundation, a new life, built from the inside out, can begin. Keep listening. Everything that follows will expand this foundation, and in time you will come to see clearly what until now has remained hidden, that the invisible world is not less real. It is more real. It is the cause behind the form, and you, as a thinking center within it, are the point through which creation flows. This is not hope. This is the law, and law, once understood, becomes power. Chapter 2. The Law That Never Sleeps. The silent worker within you never sleeps. It neither questions your motives nor judges your requests. It does not reason, argue, or delay. It receives and it acts. This worker is your subconscious mind, or what I have called the subjective mind. It is the creative medium through which the infinite accomplishes individualized expression, and it is always at work, shaping your life with an accuracy so perfect, so constant, that few ever stop to consider its immeasurable role in the unfolding of their reality. What is often dismissed as mere coincidence, fate, or misfortune is, in truth, the consistent response of this inner mechanism to the impressions it has received. It is not capricious nor is it arbitrary. It operates under law. The law is simple. Whatever is deeply impressed upon the subjective mind will, in due season, appear in the external world. This is the root of all manifestation. There is no mystery to it, only misunderstanding. The subjective mind accepts suggestion. It does not filter ideas through logic or evidence. It does not compare or contrast. It accepts, and because it accepts, it is impressionable. Whatever you feed it consistently, emotionally, and with belief, it receives as truth, and thereafter, it builds your life in the image of that truth. One need not consciously command it to act. The very nature of the subconscious is to build according to the image held by the conscious mind, particularly those ideas charged with feeling and repeated with frequency. That which you dwell upon, that which you fear, that which you resent or hope for or love, that becomes the blueprint. The subjective mind takes that blueprint and begins to gather the unseen forces of life around it, compelling circumstances, people, events, and material substance to conform to its pattern. You may say, "But I do not desire difficulty. I do not ask for lack or illness or discord." And yet, if you look closely, you may find that such things have been made real by habitual attention, belief, and feeling. For the law does not respond to idle wishes. It responds to what is felt as true. This is why fear has such power, not because it is inherently stronger than faith, but because it is more often emotionally charged and deeply entertained. The subconscious receives it and proceeds to act upon it with the same impartial energy it would devote to love or health or abundance. It does not discern between wanted and unwanted. It only accepts and creates. When the mind is unaware of this process, it operates at random, receiving chaotic impressions from outer conditions, emotional reactions, and collective suggestion. In such a case, man becomes the byproduct of the environment rather than its master. But when he awakens, when he understands that he may choose his thoughts, feel them into conviction, and thus impress them deliberately upon the subconscious, then he reclaims his position as the architect of his experience. And this indeed is the whole aim of mental science, to awaken the individual to the recognition that thought, deliberately chosen and deeply felt, becomes cause, that the body, the environment, the fortune or misfortune is but the effect. Let us be clear. The subconscious is not a mystical or unknowable force. It is lawful. It is knowable. It is the very soil into which the seed of thought is planted, and as every gardener understands, the nature of the seed determines the fruit. One cannot plant weeds and harvest wheat, nor can one expect love, health, or peace to arise from seeds of fear, bitterness, or self-condemnation. The good news is this: the subconscious does not hold grudges. It does not cling to old beliefs if new ones are presented with greater conviction. It will surrender its current pattern to a more dominant one. Thus, if you have lived under patterns of defeat, failure, or despair, you are not condemned. You are simply called to sow new seeds and to nurture them faithfully. The process is one of repetition and feeling. A truth spoken once may glance off the hardened soil of old belief, but a truth spoken often and felt with sincerity begins to take root. With time and nurturing attention it grows, slowly at first, perhaps invisibly, but the law is working, and if you do not disturb the soil with contradiction or doubt, the fruit will appear. Understand this: you do not need to beg the subconscious to act. It is not moved by desperation. It is moved by authority. Your thought, spoken internally with the calm authority of conviction, carries more power than all the pleading prayers ever uttered. Speak it as law, and it becomes law. The subconscious responds best in states of stillness. It is in quiet moments before sleep, in times of reflection, that the soil is most fertile. What you impress in these states enters more deeply. This is why daily meditation, quiet affirmation, and contemplative reflection are not luxuries, but disciplines. You are not trying to force the outer world to change. You are reconditioning the inner mold, and the outer must follow. If you had a different life, do not concern yourself first with action. Concern yourself first with belief. For belief is the channel through which the subconscious receives its instructions. Belief is not the absence of doubt, it is the presence of conviction. And conviction is a result of clarity, repetition, and willingness. Once you begin this work, let the old be discarded without regret. Let go of the need to justify former struggles or reinforce old stories. The subjective mind is not concerned with history, it concerns itself only with what you are feeding it now, in this moment, in this feeling. The invisible architect builds in silence, but it builds with precision. The house you live in, metaphorically and literally, is constructed from the pattern you have impressed upon your deeper mind. No outer force has more authority than your sustained conviction. And when your belief is grounded in truth, truth that aligns with life, with order, with harmony, then even that which once seemed impossible begins to yield before your vision. You are not powerless. You are the vessel of a law so exact, so universal, that its effects follow you even when you do not understand it. But now you begin to understand. Now you begin to see. Let this be the moment where you no longer repeat what has been, but create what is to come. The subconscious is listening, the world is responding, and the law, ever faithful, is already at work. Chapter 3. Blueprints of Belief. There is only one mind in the universe. It is infinite in scope, without beginning and without end. It cannot be measured, divided, or diminished. It is not contained within the stars, but the stars are contained within it. This mind is not yours or mine, it is ours. It is the universal mind, the silent source from which all life proceeds, and the invisible matrix into which every thought descends to take root and grow. You do not possess a mind apart from this mind. What you call your mind is a point of access, a channel, a focused lens, through which the universal expresses itself in individual form. To understand this is to be freed from the illusion of separation. The wave does not exist apart from the ocean, nor does your thought arise in isolation. It is the movement of an intelligence far greater than the self that utters it. This universal mind is impersonal, yet infinitely intelligent. It knows no limitation, but it functions only through law. It does not pick favorites. It does not bless one man and curse another. It simply reflects. It reflects the quality of thought it receives with unwavering fidelity. Whether the thought comes wrapped in faith or fear, in beauty or bitterness, the law does not discriminate. It multiplies whatever it receives. This is what makes your understanding of it so vital, for the law does not ask whether your idea is worthy. It asks only whether your belief is strong. It does not check your background, your age, your story, or your struggle. It reads the vibration of your thought, and it returns to you what you have sown into it. There is no need to worship this mind, for it is not outside of you, nor should you fear it, for it is not a force of punishment. It is principle, unchanging, unerring, absolute. And the more clearly you grasp this principle, the more skillfully you may apply it. To apply it, you must begin by acknowledging your unity with it. You are not a disconnected speck, adrift in a sea of random chance. You are a center of consciousness in the field of the infinite. What you think about this field returns to you in the form. The universal mind, though vast and impersonal, becomes entirely personal at the point where you impress it with your belief. The power that creates galaxies is not abstract. It flows through your thoughts, your moods, your words, and it is shaped not by what you say occasionally, but by what you believe consistently. Therefore, if your belief is founded on lack, on unworthiness, on separation, then this vast intelligence will build accordingly, not to harm you, but to obey you. But when your belief is reoriented, when you begin to see yourself not as an accident of matter, but as an emanation of spirit, then the law takes on new expression. It lifts you. It surrounds you with opportunities. It opens what appeared closed, because the blueprint has changed. You need not move the world with your hands. You need only align your thoughts with the principle that already governs the world. This is not passive. It is precision. The man who aligns with truth does more in silence than the one who acts without understanding. There is an inner science to this. It is not guesswork, it is the law. And once you begin to operate with it, once you understand that the universal responds to the emotional signature of your thoughts, you no longer move as one who begs, but as one who builds. Now you could wonder, what is the method? How may a new belief be presented to the universal? In theory, the solution is straightforward, but in reality it calls for sincerity. You have to be motionless first, internally as well as externally. The mind needs to be transformed into a clear pool that isn't influenced by outside forces. The impression is created in this silence. Then, you must choose the idea you wish to see expressed, not in vague terms, but with clarity. The universal cannot work with confusion. It requires definition. If you desire peace, let the thought of peace fill your entire consciousness. Not as a wish, but as a present fact. Speak it in silence. Feel it as already so. Wrap it in conviction and hold it with love. Do not contradict this thought with anxious words or contrary beliefs. The law will not override your confusion. It will simply mirror it. Your task is to hold your idea steady. Let it drop into the deep, and know that the law has received it. Results will come, not always in the form or the hour you expect, but they will come. For no idea, once impressed with feeling upon the universal, fails to draw to itself its own reflection. And the man who understands this lives with quiet assurance, untouched by appearances, for he knows that the unseen is always becoming seen. There is a sacred intimacy between your inner world and the mind that governs all. It hears every thought as an instruction. It answers every belief as law. It does not sleep. It does not forget. It does not make mistakes. The form may vary, the path may surprise you, but the response is certain. It is mathematical in its faithfulness. Let others rely on effort. Let them wrestle with shadows and chase conditions. You, knowing this law, work in silence. You think clearly, you believe fully, you rest in certainty, and the universal, receiving your thought, goes to work, gathering, assembling, aligning, without delay or resistance. There is no greater power you may discover than this, that the source of all life waits only for the direction of your inner pattern. You are not small, you are not alone, you are the vessel through which the invisible becomes visible. Hold this truth not as a theory, but as an active force. Use it with reverence. Speak only what you desire to build. Feel only what you wish to receive. And the law, silent and supreme, will carry it into form. You are not trying to become powerful. You are learning to stop misusing the power you already possess. And as that misuse dissolves, the truth stands clear. The universal mind is not somewhere else. It is the field in which you think, the breath in which you speak, the space in which all creation unfolds. It is infinite. It is immediate. It is listening. Chapter 4. The Program Behind the Person. Belief is the axis upon which your entire life turns, not the casual belief uttered in passing, nor the surface thoughts declared without feeling, but the deeper convictions, those unspoken certainties that shape your actions, expectations, and results without resistance. They are the silent architects of destiny, for what you believe at your core is precisely what the law of mind is building into form. Every man and woman walks the world not according to truth, but according to what they believe to be true. And this distinction is of great consequence, for the universe does not yield to truth alone, it yields to belief. That is the mystery behind why some rise and others fall under identical conditions. It is not the condition that determines the outcome, but the inner posture of the individual confronting it. Your beliefs are not fate, though they often feel immutable. They are programs written over time, impressed upon your subconscious through repetition, emotion, and experience. You were not born with them. They were acquired, shaped by words spoken around you, by conclusions drawn in childhood, by trauma left unhealed, by victories that felt accidental, and failures that felt deserved. The mind, in its early state, is like wet clay, soft, impressionable, eager to form meaning from experience. And in those formative years, meaning was assigned not through logic, but through emotion. A single moment of rejection can give rise to a belief in unworthiness. A single event of lack can form a lifelong narrative of scarcity. And once that belief is formed, the subconscious begins to organize life around it, attracting, shaping, and filtering every opportunity through the lens of that inner law. This is not cruelty. It is obedience. The subjective mind cannot contradict your belief. It must express it. Even if the belief is false, even if it leads to suffering, the law does not question. It reflects. It builds in the likeness of what it receives. Herein lies the great tragedy and the great liberation. For what was once impressed can be re-impressed. What was written in fear can be rewritten in truth. What was built in ignorance can be rebuilt in understanding. The subconscious, though powerful, is never final. It bends to the dominant belief, whichever one holds the most energy and persistence. You are not doomed by your past beliefs, but you are responsible for your present ones, for they are the cause of what is being built now. If you wish to transform your life, you must return to the root, the soil in which your reality grows, and examine what seeds have been sown without your knowing. Begin with observation. Look not only at what you desire, but at what you expect. It is the expectation, not the wish, that reveals your true belief. You may speak of abundance, but if you expect struggle, then struggle is what shall persist. You may affirm love, but if you expect disappointment, then disappointment will shape your relationships. Do not condemn yourself for this. You are not broken, you are programmed. And what is programmed can be reprogrammed through conscious direction, emotional sincerity, and disciplined attention. Repetition is key, not mechanical but intentional. The subconscious is not moved by cold words. It responds to tone, to consistency, to emotional certainty. Therefore, when you speak new truths into yourself, let them be clothed in feeling. Speak not as one hoping to believe, but as one gradually remembering. This is not fantasy, it is realignment. The mind cannot hold two opposing beliefs with equal strength for long. One must dominate, and the dominant belief is always the one fed most consistently. It matters not if the old belief feels more real. Reality bends to the one that is believed more fully. The law knows no loyalty to the past, it only knows the present command. This is why transformation often begins in discomfort. The new belief must be installed before the evidence appears. The ground must be tilled while the soil still bears weeds. The new pattern must be affirmed while the old structure still stands. The creative mind must speak from the unseen and trust that the law will respond, as it always does, in form. This trust is not blind faith. It is spiritual intelligence. It is the recognition that every visible result began as an invisible cause, and that by reconfiguring the cause, the effect must, by law, eventually conform. Affirm daily that which you desire to see. But do so as one who understands the mechanics, not as one pleading for a miracle, but as one planting a seed. Speak health, not to impress the body, but to impress the mind that governs the body. Speak peace, not to erase chaos, but to call forth harmony from within. Speak prosperity, not to chase money, but to align with the vibration of sufficiency that draws supply by natural law. And when the old belief rises, as it will, do not resist it. Do not wrestle with it. Simply see it as a habit, an echo, a shadow without substance. Replace it with the new statement, and do so again and again until the new becomes natural and the subconscious yields to the new instruction. Be patient. The subconscious is fertile but not rushed. It yields not to force but to faith. And faith, rightly understood, is the emotional certainty of unseen truth. Hold your new belief with this certainty, and the creative machinery of the universe will begin to arrange itself around it. In time, you will see the outer begin to change, not by chance, not by force, but by correspondence. As within, so without. As believed, so lived. You are not the product of your past, you are the product of your present belief, and the belief you choose today will become the structure you walk within tomorrow. This is the law, and the law never sleeps. Chapter 5. The Art of Alignment. It is one thing to know that thought is the cause of all form. It is another to use that knowledge rightly. Between knowledge and transformation lies the subtle work of application. Here, in this sacred space between concept and creation, man becomes not merely a thinker, but a builder. For it is not enough to understand the principle. One must embody it. One must live it. One must become the law in motion. The world you experience tomorrow is shaped by the mental architecture you are constructing today. If your thoughts are vague, your results will be undefined. If your thoughts are conflicted, your conditions will be unstable. But if your thoughts are clear, concentrated, and emotionally aligned, then the creative law of the universe begins its work without hesitation. To form a new mental blueprint, you must begin as all builders do, with vision. Not idle fantasy, not casual hope, but a vision that is deliberate, focused, and impressed with feeling. The subconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to clarity and emotion. Therefore, your first act as the architect of your life is to determine the image you wish to see made flesh. Until this image is firm within you, no structure can rise from it. Go into the silence. Close the gates of the senses. Withdraw your attention from the outer world, for it holds only the residue of past thinking. Turn inward. Let the world go still. In this silence, picture the condition you desire, not as distant, but as present. Let it be simple. Let it be vivid. And above all, let it be felt. Do not simply see yourself as prosperous. Feel the security of it. Do not merely imagine health. Feel the ease, the strength, the joy of movement. Speak the new condition inwardly. Let it move not just in word, but in tone. Say it with the quiet authority of one who commands the law, not because of arrogance, but because of understanding. As you hold this image, you are impressing it into the deepest part of your being. The subconscious, so often led by chaos, now receives its new directive. It does not argue, it does not question. It begins, immediately and without resistance, to draw into form that which you have declared to be real. But you must be steady. You must be faithful. You must return again and again to this inner image, especially when the world outside appears unchanged. The law does not yield to occasional impulse. It responds to sustained conviction. Therefore, repetition becomes your sacred ritual. The same thought held daily becomes the new instruction. Each time you return to the image, you deepen its roots. Each time you speak the new truth, you weaken the hold of the old pattern. This is not a matter of force, but of rhythm. As water wears away stone, so sustained thought reshapes belief. Many falter, not because the law has failed them, but because they have failed to hold their blueprint steady. They allow conditions to dictate their faith. They speak of change, but live in contradiction. The mind that affirms truth 1 hour and doubts it the next creates no momentum. It scatters the seed and blames the field. You must become one-pointed. Let the idea of your new condition dominate your mental world. Speak it as though it were already true. Think from the vision, not merely toward it. This is the key. The subconscious cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. It builds whatever is most vividly and consistently believed. To assist this process, employ visualization. Close your eyes and enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. See it in detail. Hear the sounds. Feel the texture. Engage all the faculties of the mind. Make it as real inwardly as it would be if experienced outwardly. This mental rehearsal is not indulgence, it is instruction. You are teaching your subconscious what to construct. Accompany this visualization with inner speech. Throughout the day, speak silently to yourself as one already living the new condition. Say, "This is who I am now," or "All things are aligning for my good." Keep it present, keep it affirmative. Never speak from lack. Speak from fullness, from faith, from knowing. Now, let us speak of emotion, the great amplifier. Without feeling, thought remains abstract. But when thought is wrapped in emotion, it becomes magnetic. Your feelings reveal the depth of your belief. If your affirmation is cold, the law remains unmoved. But when your declaration is felt, when your whole being resonates with the idea, it is as though the gates of heaven are opened and the unseen begins to pour into the scene. Therefore, choose your emotional state with care. Let joy accompany your vision. Let gratitude walk with your new thought. Not gratitude for what shall be, but gratitude as if it were already yours. For in truth it is. The moment it is accepted by the subconscious, it has already begun to take form. The manifestation is not the beginning. It is the echo. In this work, let there be no strain. The law is not activated by effort, but by alignment. You are not trying to make the universe do something unnatural. You are aligning with what it does by nature. Just as a seed does not struggle to grow once planted, your thought, once accepted, proceeds toward fulfillment by the simple fact that it has been impressed with faith. Let this be your daily practice: silence, vision, affirmation, and emotional alignment. Do not ask how it shall come. That is not your concern. The law knows how. Your part is the what, the why, and the consistency of the inner image. Hold your end with sincerity, and the invisible laws of creation will do the rest. There will be moments when doubt arises. Let them pass like clouds. Do not give them power. Return to your blueprint. Speak it again. Feel it again. Build it again. For the mind, like the body, is shaped by repetition. Eventually, the outer world begins to move. Circumstances shift. Opportunities appear. What was once distant draws near, not because it came to you, but because you called it with law. This is the sacred pattern of creation: inner image, sustained belief, emotional energy, outer reflection. You are not merely a thinker of thoughts. You are the architect of form, and every thought you feel with conviction is a stone placed upon the structure of your future. The blueprint is yours. The tools are within you, and the law, eternal and unfailing, stands ready to obey your clearest instruction. Chapter 6. Dissolving the Inner War. There is a silent saboteur that lives not in the world around you, but in the unseen corners of your own mind. It is not malice, nor evil, nor fate. It is the quiet contradiction between what you affirm and what you actually believe, between what you say aloud and what you feel inside, between the vision you hold in silence and the tension you carry in your chest. This contradiction is what we call resistance. And resistance, not circumstance, is the true impediment to manifestation. The law is perfect. It is impartial. It is immediate. It is absolute. It reflects back what is given to it without judgment. But when the mind of the individual gives two opposing instructions, the law is not confused. It simply neutralizes the result. It cannot build a structure from opposing blueprints. It cannot serve two masters. And so, what appears to be delay or failure is often the outworking of internal opposition. You say, "I am worthy of abundance," but deep within a hidden voice whispers, "You do not deserve it." You affirm, "I am whole," while carrying the memory of illness as proof of your frailty. You visualize success while preparing for failure. This division, subtle and invisible though it may be, is the greatest obstruction to the creative work of the subconscious. To dissolve resistance, one must first acknowledge it. Not with shame, not with struggle, but with clarity. Resistance is not your enemy. It is evidence of an old belief still echoing through the chambers of the mind, and old beliefs, like shadows, lose their power when brought into the light. Therefore, begin with self-honesty. Ask yourself, what do I truly expect? Not what I hope for, but what I believe is most likely to happen. The answer to this question is the current command you have given to the law. And until it changes, your results will follow it faithfully. You need not wrestle with old beliefs. The subconscious does not respond to force, it responds to dominance, and dominance is created through consistency. When a new idea is introduced with clarity, charged with emotion and repeated often, it begins to override the old instruction. But there is a more refined method yet, a method that transcends struggle and silences contradiction at its root. This is the method of alignment. Alignment is the state in which thought, feeling, belief, and desire move as one. It is the harmony of mind and heart. It is the end of mental noise and the beginning of spiritual focus. In this state there is no tension, no seeking, no division. The vision is accepted as real, and the subconscious receives it without resistance. To enter alignment, you must first let go of the need to force results. The law is not moved by anxiety, it is moved by knowing, and knowing arises when you release your grasp and allow the truth to settle in. This is not passivity, it is power. For the mind that is quiet is the mind that directs. When you speak your word from a place of inner calm, the command is clearer, the subconscious listens more deeply, and the outer world responds with greater speed. Now let us speak of emotional contradiction, for it is the most insidious form of resistance. You may affirm abundance with your words, yet feel scarcity in your body. You may visualize health, but recoil in fear at each symptom. You may declare love, but harbor resentment just beneath the surface. In such cases, the emotional signal overrides the verbal one. The law receives your dominant state, not your stated desire. Therefore, if you would clear resistance, you must feel as if the condition were already fulfilled, not for its own sake, but because this feeling is the language the law understands. Train yourself to dwell in the emotion of fulfillment. Practice the inner atmosphere of success, peace, and joy. Not someday, but now. Create this atmosphere intentionally, not in response to outer conditions, but as a cause. For when the inner climate changes, the outer must reflect it. Let no opposing thought linger unchecked. When doubt arises, see it not as truth, but as habit. Release it without struggle. Return to your vision. Reaffirm your word. Feel your alignment. Do this as often as needed, and resistance will dissolve like mist before the sun. Another source of resistance is attachment to form. You may believe in your vision, but insist it must arrive through a particular person, path, or timeline. This insistence creates tension, and tension interrupts flow. The law requires your instruction, not your control. Be clear about what you desire, but let go of how it must come. Trust the intelligence of the universal mind. It sees further than you do. It arranges conditions you cannot imagine. When you release your grip, you open the channel through which the greater solution can flow. And now a word on self-concept. You cannot manifest what you do not believe you are worthy to receive. If your image of self is poor, no affirmation will penetrate. Therefore, let your primary work be the elevation of your inner worth. Not through arrogance, but through the recognition that you are a vessel of divine intelligence, a center of creative power, a conscious extension of infinite mind. Affirm your worth, not because you have earned it, but because it is your nature. Let the truth of your divine identity burn away the falsehoods of unworthiness. For as long as you believe yourself unworthy, the law will not contradict you. But the moment you claim your inheritance, the moment you stand as the rightful owner of your goods, the whole universe begins to yield. Resistance is not power. It is a misdirected thought. It is uncertainty left unexamined. It is fear masquerading as logic. When you return to clarity, consistency, and conviction, the resistance falls away, and the current of life moves again. You are not fighting for your good, you are aligning with it. The law was never against you. It was only obeying a divided command. Now, as you speak your word with unity of thought, feeling, and faith, the work of creation begins anew. Chapter 7. The Daily Ritual of Creation. The transformation of life begins in the transformation of the unseen. No man may change his circumstances without first changing the patterns that dwell within. The world of form, of condition, of event, is but the echo. The sound that causes the echo is thought, sustained, impressed, and believed. But thought alone, unfocused and transient, does not build. It is the repetition of a belief, charged with emotion, that instructs the subconscious and sets the law into motion. Therefore, the wise student must establish a daily practice, a sacred rhythm, by which he shapes the inner blueprint of his being. This is not routine for routine's sake, but an act of dominion. You are not petitioning the universe, you are instructing it. And to instruct well, you must speak in its language, thought fused with feeling, image fused with faith, silence fused with certainty. Let this then be your daily reconditioning ritual. Each morning before the noise of the world enters your mind, withdraw into the silence. The outer world must wait. Your allegiance, first and always, is to the creative cause. Sit upright. Breathe slowly, and become aware of the breath as the bridge between the seen and the unseen. Let your body grow still. Let your thoughts quieten. Do not force them. Observe them gently, and allow the inner waters to settle. Then, in that stillness, speak to yourself, not with desperation but with divine assurance. Begin with a statement of identity. For before the law may serve you, you must recognize who you are in relation to it. I am a center of divine mind. I am the image and likeness of creative power. All that I require is within me now, for the source of all is expressing through me. Do not merely say it. Feel it. Let the words take root. Allow them to echo through the corridors of your being until they feel as natural as your name. Now bring to your mind the vision of your desired condition. Do not imagine it as a dream, but as a present reality unfolding within. See it in detail. Live in it. Feel the satisfaction, the relief, the joy of its realization. Let your body respond. Let your heart open. You are not pretending. You are impressing. As you hold this inner scene, speak softly or silently. This is mine now. The law of mind receives my word and returns it fulfilled. I do not beg, I declare. I do not hope, I know. Remain in this state for several minutes. No tension, no rush. You are not trying to create with effort. You are aligning with what is already real in the unseen. Now affirm the emotional state you wish to carry through the day. I walk in peace. I speak with power. I act with calm expectancy. All things are working together for my highest good. Once more allow feeling to rise, not because it is required by the outer world, but because this inner resonance is what shapes the outer world. Before rising, declare, my subconscious is now aligned with my highest truth. I expect only good. I attract only good. I express only good. And the law responds in kind. Now go forth into your day, not as one seeking, but as one sowing. Every word you speak, every emotion you hold, every thought you revisit is either reinforcing your blueprint or disrupting it. Therefore remain inwardly alert. If contradiction arises, do not fight it. Simply return to your vision. Reaffirm it. Feel it again. The law is patient, but it is also precise. What you give it most consistently, it gives you back. In the evening before sleep, return once more to silence. The final thoughts you impress before rest are the ones the subconscious holds most powerfully. Therefore, do not end your day with a complaint or fear. Instead, end it with intentional instruction. Close your eyes. Recall the vision of your fulfilled desire. Feel it once more. Speak inwardly. I rest in perfect assurance. The seed I have sown today is already taking root. There is nothing to fear. The law is faithful. I sleep in peace and rise in power. Let this be your rhythm. Morning creation, daily vigilance, evening reinforcement. Over days, the mind will begin to shift. Over weeks, the subconscious will yield. Over months, the world around you will reorganize itself to match the new command. This is not magic. It is spiritual science. And those who understand it and use it with love, faith, and consistency live no longer by chance but by principle. No longer shall you live reacting to outer forces. You are the cause, the architect, the one who writes upon the invisible substance of life, and that substance obeys. Make this practice your own. Let it become as natural as breath, and soon the life you once hoped for will become the life you now embody. You are not becoming powerful. You are remembering that you always were. Chapter 8. The Awakening of the Architect. The great work is not to change the world, but to change the self that the world reflects. You have now been shown the blueprint, the sacred order behind all creation. You have seen that thought is not a shadow of reality but its architect, that feeling is not an accessory, but the fuel of manifestation, that the world around you does not lead, it follows. This knowledge is not theory. It is the law, immutable, eternal, impartial. And now, as you come to the close of this journey, the most important truth must be spoken plainly. You are not a fragment in a chaotic universe. You are a conscious center of divine operation. The same intelligence that shaped the stars now thinks through you, feels through you, creates through you. The difference between chaos and command is not power, but awareness. You have always possessed this power. Even in your doubt, it was there. Even when lost, you were creating. But now you create by design, not by default. You are no longer a servant to old beliefs, no longer bound by inherited fears, no longer ruled by the echoes of forgotten wounds. You have remembered who you are, not a spectator of life, but a shaper of it, not a victim of conditions, but a vessel through which the invisible becomes visible. Let every word you speak from this day forward be a command sent into law. Let every image you hold in your mind be drawn with reverence, for it is the seed of your experience. Let your emotional state no longer follow circumstance, but precede it, because you know that the outer always follows the inner. You are no longer seeking proof. You are living by principle. You no longer ask, will this work? You declare, this works because it is law, and the law, eternal and unwavering, responds in kind. You now understand that all form, all structure, all condition arises from one source, consciousness. And consciousness, when properly directed, creates with perfect precision. You do not need luck. You do not need permission. You need only alignment. Alignment with your vision. Alignment with the feeling of its fulfillment. Alignment with your true nature as the invisible architect of your reality. Let no man or woman convince you that your power is small. It is not. The power within you is the same power that carved rivers and raised mountains, the same power that sustains breath and orchestrates galaxies. That power is not outside of you. It is you, once unrecognized, now awakened. Therefore, do not fear time. Do not fear delay. The law is not slow. It is exact. Every thought you hold in faith is building something, even when you cannot yet see the form. Every moment spent in vision is laying a stone in the unseen. And when the time is full, the structure appears, not because you forced it, but because you became it. Understand this. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. And what you are is the sum of what you consistently think, feel, and believe. You are the mental equivalent of your world. Nothing more, nothing less. If you would change your world, do not chase it. Change yourself. Let your inner atmosphere match the life you wish to see. Live inwardly as the man or woman who already holds what they once sought. And from that alignment, all things flow. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to express, to create, to glorify the intelligence that formed you by letting it flow through you, unhindered. That is your divine right. And the law, faithful, obedient, eternal, stands ready to shape your every decree. So let the past be finished. Let the old blueprint crumble. You have built enough from fear, from lack, from doubt. Now build from knowing, build from love, build from vision, and above all, build as one who remembers the truth. You are not a body with a mind. You are mind made visible. You are taking form. You are spirit becoming substance. And there is no limit to what you may create, so long as you create in harmony with the law. The invisible architect is not above you nor outside you. The invisible architect is the part of you that was never touched by failure, never stained by fear, never disconnected from source. That part is awake now. And with each thought you impress, each vision you feel, each affirmation you declare, you lay another stone in the temple of your becoming. Go forward with boldness. Speak your word with authority. Trust in the unseen. And let the law, ever faithful, build your world in the exact image of your belief. This is the final word and the eternal beginning. Let there be light within and without. Epilogue. The quiet return to power. The book is now closed, but the word within you continues to write, not with ink and paper, but with thought and silence, with faith and form. You have not been given power. You have been reminded that you are powerful. that you are the point where the infinite touches the personal, that the laws of the universe were never locked in the stars. They were folded within your own soul. You are not here to wait. You are here to declare, to speak as one who knows, to move as one who trusts, to live as one who remembers. This is the return, not to something new, but to something ancient and true. The spirit within you is the builder of worlds. And that spirit never sleeps. Let the world now rearrange itself, not by effort, but by alignment. Not by fear, but by law. Not by hope, but by inner knowing. The silence you carry will now speak more clearly than any outer noise ever could. You are the invisible architect, and what you build, the universe shall become.